the Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock. This is Capitol View.
Good Sunday morning to you and welcome into Capitol View. I'm Mitch McCoy. Jay is off. Congressman French Hill is joining us now. We're jumping right into it, Congressman. Thank you so much for joining us. We know that school is just about a week away. We're also in the middle of a global health pandemic. Last month, you introduced the Helping Educators with Learning Preparation Act. It's also known as the HELP Act. You say this will directly help students transition to socially distanced and in-classroom instruction. Tell us a little bit about this proposal.
Well, Mitch, thanks for having me. Yeah, the HELP Act was to look for gaps. Over the last few months, I've talked to superintendents, teachers, students, and listened to our state officials as well. And I wanted to create a more flexible program to be considered in the next coronavirus bill that would help teachers and principals in the classroom, whether they were trying to help families digitally in a virtual learning environment or back in the classroom. So this is money that uses unprogrammed money from 2020 to help students with hotspots or equipment if they're trying to learn virtually, same with teachers, or materials that maybe a school district doesn't have funding for that would make the classroom safer for our kids.
You know, we know that funding is always can be an issue, but this seems to really help some of the smaller school districts or rural school districts that may not have the largest budget to expand.
Exactly right. Some of our bigger school districts have more resources, and yet when you're trying to do rural school on long bus routes and you don't have Wi-Fi or you don't have adequate rural broadband, the deal of a hotspots or how to download Wi-Fi or download or maybe even have access to cellular communications, because you want to have that student to have that intimate connection with their teacher, even if they can't be in classroom instruction. So I think this protects students and teachers in rural districts even more and has more flexibility. And Arkansas has a lot of kids in rural districts.
Do you know how soon this might be available for school districts, depending on what shakes out in Washington?
Well, Mitch, exactly right. And this is why I'm frustrated with the fact that we could not get the U.S. Senate and Speaker Pelosi and the Donald Trump administration all on the same page on extending some of the key things that we needed to extend to help kill the virus and get our economy back, including whatever final gap type funding we might need to support local education efforts. So I'm disappointed the Senate's now adjourned. I appreciate the president's executive orders that he did last weekend, but look, that's not a solution. We need to have Congress take action both on health, education, and the PPP program and deal with this unemployment compensation issue.
Well, Congressman, you opened up the door about the Senate being adjourned through the Labor Day weekend. There's no COVID-19 relief bill. How soon do you think Arkansans might start getting some help related to COVID-19 and finances?
Well, Mitch, look, I believe there are consensus things that we should have done, and I think Speaker Pelosi was too obstructionist in her conversations with the Trump administration and with the senators. She really was. We have consensus about additional checks that President Trump proposed for households in the $1,200. We had consensus about extending the Paycheck Protection Program for our small businesses. We had consensus around this education broadband issue. And we had a good debate about what the middle ground was on helping on the extra unemployment compensation to make sure there's an incentive to go back to work, but that we recognize that still millions of people are not back at work.
Right.
And that's why I'm sad, is the one good word for it, that Speaker Pelosi would not recognize that we should take half a loaf, a good loaf that'll help the American people, and come back and assess it again in 2 or 3 months.
Let's move to the Golden Fleece Award, something certainly not new to the political world, but you've recently brought it back. For those who don't know, what is the Golden Fleece Award?
Well, Bill Proxmire was a man I admired back in the 70s and 80s. He was a Democratic senator from Wisconsin, and he was a very penny pincher in the Senate about watching government waste and abuse. So when I got elected to Congress 5.5 years ago, I brought back his Golden Fleece Award, and I give it out every month. And this month I've awarded it to the IRS, because every day people are calling my office saying they still don't have their stimulus check from May or June. And yet the IRS has sent $1.4 billion in stimulus checks to dead people, and they've paid illegal aliens money from the stimulus checks, which the CARES Act prohibited. So the IRS is the big golden fleece winner for this week and this month.
And if, correct me if I'm wrong, you sent a letter, right, to
Sent a letter to the commissioner.
Just putting them on standby, right?
Well, this is the point. Look, I think the way to deal with the executive branch is oversight and the power of the purse in the House. But also, you can use the old embarrassment factor, just like a good principal or a good parent. You can read somebody the riot act, and that's what the Golden Fleece Award does.
All right, moving on now. Thank you, Congressman. Just another interesting conversation. State Senator Joyce Elliott is running for your seat. In a recent ad, she claims that you voted to cut Medicare and Social Security by supporting the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. What's your reaction to that?
Well, Mitch, I'd say the ad that Joyce Elliott's put up is dishonest. I voted to cut taxes on hardworking Arkansas families and businesses, and I voted to cut the taxes that were in Obamacare that held back the economy during the Obama administration. The irony in this ad is that Joyce Elliott is opposed to those tax cuts that help Arkansas families, and she's for the Obamacare tax increases. So I consider the ad very dishonest. I've worked for 5.5 years to support and strengthen Social Security and Medicare, and I'll continue to do it as long as I serve in the House.
Awesome. Congressman French Hill joining us this morning. Congressman, we appreciate it. Always good to see you, sir.
Great to see you, Mitch. Thanks.
Thanks. State Senator Joyce Elliott will join us on next week's show. And when we come back, we check in with our D.C. correspondent, Jessi Tunure, about the busy week on Capitol Hill. You can imagine it's been a very busy one. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
In these challenging times, PR McGinty continues to provide our community with the quality service you deserve. You've counted on us over 50 years. You can count on us today. Call for any of your heating, cooling, or plumbing needs.
There are now more options than ever to enjoy tzatziki's. Our Mediterranean menu is full of healthy and original favorites that are available for dine-in, delivery, takeout, curbside, and drive-through at select locations. We've implemented safety procedures to protect both our guests and our crews. Order online at tzatziki's.com or download our app today. Thank you for your continued support.
Custom Landscape and Nursery is located 20 miles outside of Conway. We're an 80-acre nursery. We grow 75 to 80% of our material ourselves, so it's acclimated to our climate, which is a little bit different than the material that's brought in. I know when people come out to the nursery, they always refer to the fact they've really never seen a nursery like this. I'd like to invite y'all to come out and to check out the nursery. I promise you it'll be a nursery like none you've ever seen before. Visit our Facebook page or our website at customlandscapeandnursery.com.
Come to the Pratt Road Outdoor Flea Market this Saturday and Sunday, rain or shine. 3 pavilions of vendors selling clothing, household items, antiques, toys, and much more. Conveniently located right off I-530. So come see us this weekend at the Pratt Road Flea Market.
Running a business is difficult and expensive, but processing your mailing shouldn't be. Arkansas Mailing Services is here to help. As a secured facility with 24-hour surveillance, you'll have peace of mind knowing you're taken care of. Printing, folding, fulfillment, uploading to a secured FTP site for sensitive confidential files, or even HIPAA compliant. If you need it, we'll take care of it. Check us out for yourself. armailing.com. Arkansas Mailing Services. The savings and service you deserve.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. A busy week in Washington. Here to break it all down for us is D.C. correspondent Jessi Tunure, a very also good friend and a familiar face to Capitol View in Little Rock. Jessi, hi.
Hey, Mitch. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden announced Kamala Harris as his VP candidate. What's the reaction in Washington?
So not much surprise in Washington based on this pick. There were some, depending on who you ask, that potentially would have liked to see someone else, another female candidate. You know, you're from Florida. Some of the other fellow congressmen and women were throwing out Val Demings, of course, people of that nature. But yeah, overall, not a whole lot of surprise. A lot of people were really kind of comparing it to Biden's presidential race, saying that, you know, it really was going to be him all along. But there were other people, other challengers to come in that kind of stole the spotlight away for a little bit. But in the end, it was him. kind of the same with Kamala Harris. In the end, it was Harris.
So, and a lot of political dollars, too, after that announcement. The campaign racked in more than $20 million, right, in donations?
Yeah, so this was really the boost that Biden and his campaign was really hoping for all along. We've learned from the polls in 2016, but you're already seeing her voting really well for the Biden campaign by her just entering the race among women, among the Black community, things of that nature. And so really kind of the effect that they were hoping a Harris as a VP nominee would have, it's been having.
Talk to us a little bit about the political convention. We know it's starting very soon, both parties holding virtual events. How are people reacting to this historic event going to a new territory online?
Yeah, so there's usually so much fanfare to go into this. You know, everybody's looking forward to the FaceTimes that they can get, not only with politicos, but, you know, celebrities even. And that FaceTime is going to literally FaceTime or Zoom or Skype or things of that nature. And so while it does feel deflated, both those involved with the DNC and the RNC are saying there's still going to be fanfare involved. There's still a lot of speakers to look forward to. And since it's virtual, a lot of them have been touting that they're hoping that the public will participate even more, because you can actually go to some of these meetings and hearings and things of that nature, which delegates would typically only be able to go to since they were held in person.
Are you hearing about any concerns that anyone has about holding it virtually? I mean, obviously, when anything is different, there's always a little bit of concerns. Are you hearing anything in Washington about that?
Just a little bit of concern, just because there's not as much, you know, networks have kind of scaled back coverage over the years too, but you know, some of these speeches would just have millions and millions of views, and so they're hoping that still translates. But really, as far as things moving virtual, we've seen Congress do that with hearings, and those have been, for the most part, pretty smooth. You go through the typical hurdles of, you know, there's somebody in the background, somebody walking through a shot, things of that nature. So I'm sure there'll be some random things like that happening, but overall, I think they're really hoping for success moving forward and think that they'll be able to get that.
Well, and President Trump confirmed last week to the Post that he intends to give his Republican National Convention speech from the White House lawn. Tell us, is this an unusual move?
It would be. People are attacking and saying that decision, you know, is it even legal for him to do under the Hatch Act? But the White House has been saying, you know, we're going to move forward and we're going to have that speech from the White House. You've heard him in other events, particularly from the Rose Garden, where he's had different groups there making different announcements, even during the pandemic, kind of turn it into what some would call a campaign event or a campaign rally of sorts. And they were quick to criticize as well. And so he's already been kind of flirting with that. And so this would really kind of cement what he's been doing for potentially the past couple months.
All right, shifting to other big news in Washington. Every day, we all know 20 veterans die by suicide. Veterans die every day despite a rising awareness and a public and private effort to provide support. We also have some Arkansas support behind a new initiative. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is a piece of legislation that passed quietly through the Senate as everybody else was looking at these stalled negotiations on coronavirus relief. And it's something that lawmakers there in a bipartisan way have been working on for years. And it essentially opens up more mental health access for veterans at the VA and beyond. And Arkansas Senator John Bozeman has been a big champion of this. And it opens up these services at the VA by expanding mental health service employees at every hospital, and also expanding telehealth services for those veterans in more rural areas. But it really also puts an emphasis and more funding into grant programs for other nonprofit organizations, other community organizations. Bozeman himself said that there's about 50,000 across the country that veterans can take advantage of. They just don't know how to get connected to them. And something that really kind of resonated too, the argument about why this was so important, is that not only do about 20 veterans die by suicide every day, but they're not getting, most of them are not getting VA help at that point. It usually takes about 6 months for them to be connected with VA services, and that's also the time in which they typically die by suicide.
You know, we could talk about VA health really all day long. We only have just a short minute left. President Trump is trying to make good on his promise of a payroll tax cut to help American workers struggling through the pandemic. He signed an executive order that defers collecting those taxes until January 1st. Some have questions about how this executive order will work.
Definitely, and this plays into those stalled coronavirus negotiations. So this was the president saying, if you can't get anything done, I'm going to sign these executive actions. There was 4 of them. Like you mentioned, the payroll tax deferral was one. And so, of course, when Americans hear that, they're thinking that their paycheck could essentially change pretty soon. They're already looking at that. But I wouldn't hold your breath yet. The Treasury Department, they've been given a September 1st deadline to implement these rules, and they're still trying to iron out if this is going to be mandatory or voluntary for employees. And Trump has been saying that, you know, once he's elected again, that he would make this a permanent change. But if that doesn't happen, then Americans are going to have to pay this back. And I think there's still a lot of confusion over that as well.
Jessi, it's getting exciting in Washington as we get ready for the presidential election, isn't it?
Always, right?
Awesome. Well, Jessi, thank you very much. We appreciate it. It's always good to see your face, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us.
You too. Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks. All right, when we come back, we take a look at your top political headlines. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
For the past 3 years, we have been your neighborhood bar and grill. The staff you know is still here to serve you. Our award-winning cuisine is returning with exciting new dishes. Our mixologists have crafted new signature cocktails. The patio is set up for your family and friends. The garage doors are open on the Sidewalk Cafe. Let us pour you a peachy keat. We're excited to welcome you back.
There's a place in Central Arkansas you might want to visit. A place where every hike, ride, and climb is an adventure to remember. Where you can walk in the footsteps of history and fill your days and nights with arts and culture. Where chefs work magic with fresh ingredients and friendly folks are always ready to raise a glass to your visit. So if you're big on the outdoors, history, the arts, local flavor, and craft beer, well then you're big on Little Rock. Learn more at littlerock.com today.
Come and enjoy a new experience in shopping for your home. At Aladdin Rugs and Home Decor, we have over 5,000 rugs in the latest colors and styles. Bring your pillows, your pillow shams, and sizes. We will help you select the perfect rug. We're #1 in customer service with 15,000 square feet of rugs, unique home decor, wallpaper, and flooring. Remember, buy today, take it home today, and save. Why wait?
It's our vacation at home sale at Family Leisure. Pools, patio furniture, swing sets, spas, and more. All priced to move. Shop online, call us, or set up a FaceTime visit today. Pickup, delivery, and no contact installation also available. Vacation at home sale going on now at Family Leisure.
Did you know minorities are 1.4 times more likely to be obese? This epidemic of obesity can be slowed with a simple lifestyle change. By cooking with love and eating in as a family. Cooking at home is healthier, less expensive, promotes family togetherness, and helps prevent heart disease. So cook with love. Eat in tonight. Go to SouthernAintFriedSundays.com for meal plans and healthier alternatives to preparing Southern-style foods. And begin your transition to healthier living.
Hi folks, Bart Sherwood of Sherwood Tractor. Dad always told us boys growing up on the farm to use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. And that's pretty much what we did. But with Mahindra tractors and implements, you don't have to make it do or do without. What's in your barn?
Watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back. The president's son and campaign surrogate Eric Trump says Joe Biden's choice for vice president doesn't worry his team. Joe Khalil reports from our D.C. bureau.
Eric Trump, the president's son and campaign surrogate, says Joe Biden's choice for VP doesn't worry his team.
I don't know what's really changed in the last 6 months that, people magically start liking Kamala Harris.
Trump says Harris's low poll numbers in the Democratic primaries signal a lack of enthusiasm compared to the Trump camp. He also criticized the Biden campaign for remaining silent about violence in cities like Portland and Chicago.
If you look at her Senate voting record, it's actually to the left of Bernie Sanders.
The moderates that you may need to win over, you might have a harder time convincing them that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are Antifa-aligned radicals.
Well, you know, they come out and start condemning them. Come out and start, you know, condemning Antifa for who they are and the evil scum that they are, and they've never been willing to do that.
We asked Eric Trump if he thought the choice of Harris, the first South Asian and African-American woman on a major party's ticket, was historic. And he said yes, but he also said this about Biden's process on choosing a running mate.
I've heard from people in certain coalitions that they thought that move was very discriminatory to other minority groups like them who were left off on the sideline.
I think that's why Trump is so confused. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to hit her.
Congresswoman Karen Bass of California, who is also in the running for Biden's VP pick, says Kamala Harris makes the campaign stronger. Bass says the Trump campaign's comments are a distraction.
We need to stay focused on the fact that we have lost 160,000 Americans. I can't think of anything more important than that. We have a president who is in complete denial.
Bass says there are progressives who find Harris to be too moderate, but she says the campaign can reach those voters.
Maybe they're not in love with 100% of what she did, but I know that they are very clear that our country just can't make it 4 more years if we stay home.
Bass says she expects criticism against Harris will intensify as the campaign moves on toward Election Day. In Washington, I'm Joe Khalil.
The Biden campaign is buying new TV ads focusing on how President Biden would handle the coronavirus epidemic. They follow a 1-minute spot released last week shortly after Biden called for governors in each state to issue a mask mandate. All of this as the Biden-Harris ticket spent their first full day as a team focusing on COVID-19. The spots will air in the battleground states of Arizona, Florida, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. It may be too late to vote by mail-in ballot in Pennsylvania. The U.S. Postal Service says it's unlikely there will be enough time to request, complete, and return mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania to be counted for the November 3rd presidential election. A letter from Thomas J. Marshall, the general counsel and executive vice president of that agency, to the state secretary warned of the risk. The letter, dated July 29th, was entered into court Thursday as part of an ongoing lawsuit by a group of Pennsylvania voters. The group wants the counting deadline extended beyond Election Day in anticipation of delays. State officials agree and now say the deadline to receive mail-in ballots should be extended by 3 days. The Postal Service reportedly sent a similar letter and warning to Washington's Secretary of State. LeBron James and the Los Angeles Dodgers are teaming up to make voting more accessible to voters this November. For the 5 days leading up to the November 3rd election, all registered voters in Los Angeles County will be able to park for free and vote at Dodger Stadium. The initiative is a joint venture between the group More Than a Vote, created by James to fight voter suppression, and the Dodgers. It's still unclear whether the ballots will be cast indoors or outside the stadium. The group plans to abide by CDC regulations regarding social distancing. The Department of Defense is outlining their plan to get military students back into the classroom safely. Washington correspondent Kelly Meyer shares how they plan on doing it and what lawmakers on Capitol Hill say it will do.
The Department of Defense wants the thousands of children who attend school on military bases back in class in person this fall.
The best education is face-to-face in a classroom.
But the DoD says it's not forcing the issue. Education Activity Director Thomas Brady says the department's plan for the new school year include options for in-person and remote or virtual learning for kids that attend school on U.S. military bases here and overseas. As of now, 10,000 students are enrolled virtually, and more schools are switching to remote learning.
In the United States, 25 of 50 schools will be opening remotely, to include Fort Benning and Fort Bragg, among others.
The military children is just like everywhere else. I mean, you've got to go on a base-by-base determination.
Alabama Senator Democrat Doug Jones says the DoD is doing back to school right.
If they do have in-person learning, they can do it in a safe and healthy way.
If military academies can do it, I think our schools can do it.
Florida Republican Congressman Greg Steube, who served in the Army, says cadets that are already back at the college-level military academies are doing fine.
You haven't seen any problems, you haven't seen any spikes, or haven't been any issues at all at any of our military academies.
There will be a balance and we will reach it.
As military, elementary, middle, and high school classrooms prepare to reopen, the DoD says it will stand ready to react to COVID outbreaks.
We're prepared for it.
Brady says the DoD will do whatever it needs to keep military families safe. Reporting in Washington, I'm Kelly Meyer.
We're back to wrap up after this. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Magic always happens with a gift from Keepsakes. Our stunning line of Philippe Gabriel, the fastest growing designer line in America, is sure to make the perfect gift. Crafted in Italy and made to share with generations to come, Philippe Gabriel's now on sale. Only $299 at Keepsakes Jewelry in Whitehall.
Hello, I'm Mike Rainwater, and I applaud the efforts of KARK and Fox 16 taking a stand to create a safer Central Arkansas through their Victory Over Violence campaign. At Rainwater, Holt, and Sexton, we do our part. So each month we feature a difference maker. We give $1,000 to a group or organization that truly makes an impact on the lives of others. It'll take all of us to declare victory over violence.
Community is everywhere. Banking where you are, when you need it, on any device, at home, and wherever you play. We're committed to offering excellent service, competitive rates, and convenience in each of our 27 locations and beyond. Visit our website and discover how we can help your community at First Community Bank, where community is everything.
Express your unique style when you wear Pandora jewelry from Keepsakes. Pandora's collection of bracelets and jewelry offers endless charm options to keep your look fresh and fun. Shop our premier selection of Pandora jewelry for the best quality and prices. Keepsakes Jewelry.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
That's it for today's show. We're back with an all-new Capitol View next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great Sunday.